Revelation from the former owner of a South Minneapolis club. She's telling 5 Investigates that George Floyd and former officer Derek Chauvin both worked security for her at El Nuevo Rodeo out on Lake Street. Investigative reporter Eric Rasmussen just spoke with that woman. He's here now with more on what she said. Eric?
Jackie, to be clear, while Maya Santamaria says the 2 men worked for her as recently as last year, she says she does not know if Derek Chauvin and George Floyd ever actually spoke to each other. The first time she saw this video, Maya Santamaria says it took her a moment to make the connection.
My friend sent it, said, "This is your guy, the guy who used to work for you," and I kept saying, "It's not him," and then they did the close-up. And that's when I said, "Oh my God, that's him."
She says now former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin worked security for her at El Nuevo Rodeo for 17 years before she sold the club just months ago.
He sometimes had a real short fuse, and he seemed afraid. When there was an altercation, he always resorted to pulling out his mace and pepper spraying everybody right away, even when I felt it was unwarranted.
Even more surreal, Santamaria says, is that George Floyd, the man pinned under Chauvin's knee on Monday night, worked for her too.
I didn't recognize George as one of our security guards because he looked really different lying there like that. And it wasn't until I saw the pictures of him come up, then it snapped, and one of my employees said, "Look, Maya, he worked for us."
Both men who worked security for the same club before their final encounter that left one dead and the other at the center of national outrage. But Santamaria says she does not know if they ever really knew each other.
They were working together at the same time. It's just that Chauvin worked outside and the security guards were inside. I thought to myself, what if he could have just said, "Hey man, you and I worked together at Maya's place, man. Like, remember me?"
Santamaria says George Floyd had been working security at her club for about a year. On some of their busiest nights, she said, he might have been among 20 or 30 people she would bring in for security in addition to off-duty police such as Chauvin. We've reached out to Chauvin's attorney and the Minneapolis Police Department about this development, but at this point we're still waiting to hear back from both of them.
Yeah, so I read that they did work together, and I work in the food industry, and at the place that I work at, we had bouncers, and it was way bigger than this spot, because this is the place where actually they were worked at, and our place was way bigger, and I knew every single bouncer by name. I would see them multiple times throughout the night. They come crossing and going. There was just no way that they did not run into each other, and that they did not know who they worked with, because I know everyone I work with.
But those who knew George Floyd best say they can't believe how the man they called a gentle giant died.
I was looking at it and I said, well, that can't be Floyd, you know? But later it just blew out with Floyd. And that's when it hit me. It hit me hard.
Giovanni Thunstrom says Floyd worked security for him at Conga Latina Bistro.
He was not only my employee, he was my best friend.
Giovanni says his customers are reacting to the video. They say it's not characteristic of the man they know.
And he's the type of guy that was friendly to everybody. He didn't discriminate because you were Hispanic or you were black or you were white. He treated everybody with respect. And that's what I love about him.
He stood up for people. He was there for people when they were down. He loved people that were thrown away.
Courtney Ross was Floyd's other half. Ross says Floyd was the most spiritual man she had ever met. He moved to Minnesota from Houston, Texas to start a new life.
He came to Minnesota to get a fresh start. And Minnesota to him was like this place where people were just kind and open to him.
You're George Floyd's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
For how long?
3 years.
So how did you meet George?
I was down at the Salvation Army. Are you from here?
No.
Okay, so the Salvation Army, you know the Salvation Army, it's a shelter, and he worked there, and I was visiting someone I love, and he saw that I was just distraught in the corner, and he came up to me and comforted me and wanted to know if there's anything he could do to help. Then he prayed with me, and I guess I fell in love with him then. It's okay.
It's gonna pick it up. We're missing some great stuff.
It's okay. It's my love. I talk about him all day. He is such a spiritual man, beyond just being prayerful and a man of God. He had a sense about him that just made you feel comforted, feel good, feel validated. Just lift you up, lift your spirits up. Yeah, and he really believed that Minneapolis was a good place to do that. You know, it seems like we're ugly right now. It seems like an ugly city. Our cops that, you know, did this, they made it ugly, but he found a lot of peace here. He found a lot of love here. He did get some peace in his life being here. It wasn't perfect, but there's parts of me that think him dying, it's like he gave something to all of us in all of that, you know? It's like he's so selfless sometimes. It's like I'll get mad at him sometimes, like, stop, you know? You keep doing these things. You gotta take care of yourself sometimes too, you know? He got killed by someone who basically strangled him, and he couldn't breathe. So, I don't know.
Did he ever have any prior breathing issues?
No, he is a healthy man. Worked out all the time, you know, really kept up with his physical body. He used to be a sports, you know, athlete, and that was really important to him. Floyd is a jovial, fun guy, and if he went in there to, you know, get a soda or you know, maybe pay a phone bill. It's like one of those kind of everything stores, you know. You can do it all in there. You can send a package. You can do all sorts of stuff. So, I mean, if he went in there, it wasn't for anything big. It was just 'cause, you know, like he was just stopping at the store. He was stopping at the store.
When was the last time you spoke with him or saw him?
The day before he died.
What were your last words to each other?
I love you. Just always was that. Just always. You know, that's just how we ended the conversation. But I do want to tell the people of this city that it's time that we prosecute them. Not tomorrow, not the next day, but today. If you kill someone, you go to jail. That is the law. They are not excluded from the law. So I just hope the politicians and the decision makers of this city make a clear choice soon before anything happens that could hurt this city. People are not going to tolerate it anymore. I could see it, I could feel it at that march yesterday. They won't take this. I hope, and I know that Floyd hopes, that his death is gonna cause some sort of change within people's hearts. He loved God, and he would not be hateful right now. He would be prayerful, he would be loving, and he would want everyone to be okay. But
man, he's sexy as a motherfucker. Oh shit, let's see who this is. Right on time, right on time. Right on time. Who is it? What's going on, bro? What's going on, man? What's up, what's up?
You got better.
Walking here like LeBron James. Damn.
Oh, man. What's up,
What's your
everybody?
name, bro?
Man, Big Floyd. Floyd the landlord, man.
Floyd
That's
the
me, man.
landlord.
Right on, man.
What you repping? What city?
Man, Houston, Texas, man. Third Ward, the projects, man.
Third
See
Ward.
this thing right here, man.
What's that?
Check me out, man.
Young risk takers?
Young risk takers, man. Well, RT, man, to the fullest.
You a big dude, man. You a big dude.
I
told you, you look like an MMA fighter. Nigga, you're pop digging them out.
You know how it go, man.
All right.
Hey.
All right.
Hey.
Yeah. Houston.
Time, man. We in here, man. This is what we do, man. Feel me? You gotta get it right.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Look at this.
Time with the lovely. Super lovely.
What's your name, girl?
Kimberly Brings.
Sexy. Look at her.
For real, huh?
Yeah,
The Story Network Foundation. The internet broke our politics. We're organizing to fix it. We use technology, advertising, and networks to help truth beat trolls. Our brains aren't wired to handle the pace at which technology changes. We're literally not wired to handle the modern internet, and bad actors and foreign governments prey on our neutral circuitry to corrupt the public discourse with lies and misinformation. The only way to counter them is to fight back, and no slick television ads won't cut it. The Story Network Foundation fights in the digital trenches to promote good and reliable sources of factual information that lead to better outcomes for all Americans. Only 4 in 10 Americans feel very confident in their abilities to spot misinformation online. 2 out of 3 say fake news stories cause a great deal of confusion about the basic facts of current issues. The Story Network Foundation is fighting back. We organize. Misinformation is propagated by large networks of pages, websites, bots, and people working together to seem much larger than they are. We organize real groups and people into networks and can amplify powerful, truthful messages at the same scale as trolls. We create misinformation to cheap and easy to produce. Real information takes time and care. We invest in organizations dedicated to creating truthful viral online content. And then we share it with like-minded organizations who want factual stories that can further their mission. We promote. Foreign governments spend massive amounts of money on digital advertising to sow discourse, and domestic operators spend misinformation in a cynical effort to generate new sales leads for supplements, shoddy merchandise, even Ponzi scheme investors. These bad actors outbid legitimate groups for prime advertising placement. We even the playing field by equipping legitimate online organizations with advertising tools so they can compete on an equal footing against scammers and foreign operatives. We inoculate. Digital platforms have been ineffective at taming the trolls and misinformation they spread. We invest in and deploy digital tools that identify, remove, and report trolls at scale to help legitimate organizations fight back when they're targeted online by false attacks. We advocate. We push governments and technology companies for common sense policy changes to help tame the flood of misinformation for good. Things are going to get worse before they get better, but humans have the basic tools to solve this problem, so chances are good that we will. The biggest risk, as with many things, is that narrow self-interest stops people from effectively collaborating. Support our work. The Story Network Foundation is a registered 501c4 organization. We can support our mission financially or by connecting us to like-minded progressive people and organizations. The Story Network Foundation. Let's take a look. So it's with media news companies. So BBC, Fox. This is, so they're registered on Facebook as a media company.
representing Oakdale, Minnesota.
Kelly, what 3 adventures do you
I would say number one would be traveling to New York City to see the Statue of Liberty. That has always been on my bucket list because it is a sign of freedom for me. Another one would be to go back to my country and explore what my parents went through. Number three would probably be paradise, where the blue water is. Okay.
Wives, the contestants' answers were so outstanding. I don't know how we're going to beat that here, but we're going to try. Please state your name and your wife's name and where you're from, sir.
I'm Derek Chauvin, and my outstanding wife is Kelly Chauvin, Mrs. Oakdale, Minnesota.
If you could add an additional competition to the pageant, what would it be and why?
Oh, good question. I think I would actually add a physical event. Since we have enough height here, I do believe a rock climbing wall could fit teams of two, timed.
Well, you're not competing, I'm talking about your wife here.
Thank you.
Erica, would you like to tell stories? Really quick story?
I don't have quick stories.
Okay, well actually, where's Keith Williams?
Whoever you are, you do upside down hanging crunches. You can do 100 at a time. Okay, Derek Chauvin?
Well, at lifetime, I get on the incline sit-up bench and raise it up almost all the way and keep going to the point where people...
Almost dead.
Going to the point where people in the club just stop to stare.
I'm sure. Well, congratulations. I hope you keep up the good work. Okay. He thinks he's good and knows the words to every song. We have a singer. What's your name?
But this time around, my mission was clear. I was going to give back to all those organizations whose causes have made an impact on my life. So the American Cancer Society, for my friend Renee, who lost her battle to cancer this last year. Victoria's Voice, which promotes drug and
For 2018, it's Allison.
There is a group of friends of George Floyd holding a news conference right now, including former NBA star Steven Jackson. Let's listen to some of that.
All being here. God bless you all.
That's right. Let's go.
Fannie Lou Hamer once said, "We are sick and tired of being sick and tired." And I stand here today exhausted. Black Minnesota, we're done dying. And white Minnesota, you are done hiding. This has been a white Wakanda for far too long, where black bodies drop like flies and nobody does anything. I want to commend Chief Arredondo for taking the right steps and immediately firing those officers. We want to be very clear that we stand with the first African American chief.
That's right.
Now, Mike Freeman, where you at?
That's right.
Because we saw where you were at with Justine DeMond when it was a white woman in South Minneapolis. We saw where you were and how eager you were to charge and prosecute a black Somali Muslim man.
That's right.
Now we want that same justice We are here reclaiming our time and reclaiming our humanity. Enough is enough. We want all 4 of the officers arrested and charged and eventually convicted. Those 4 officers stood, kneeled, and killed George Floyd. All humanity should be outraged. I also want to tell you all, what you're witnessing in Minnesota is something that's been a long time coming. I can't tell you how many governors I've sat down with, how many mayors we've sat down with, and we've warned them that if you keep murdering black people, the city will burn. We have stopped the city from burning numerous times, and we are not responsible for it burning now. Mike Freeman is holding up progress. Poverty and oppression is holding up progress. This is not simply looting, this is an uprising. An uprising of the oppressed people.
That's right.
And we also need to call out that there are many disruptors in the midst.
That's right. Come on, talk about
Media, you need to cover the undercover cops who have been breaking these windows and breaking into businesses. We have images of buildings that have been burnt on fire with specific triangles cut out. These kids are not equipped to do those type of things. So stop painting them out to be monsters. This is your moment where you're trying to create super predators again. We see what you're doing. You're calling in the National Guard. And I got a word to President Trump, and I want to make sure y'all get this word to him. I think that it's crazy that we're in the middle of a global pandemic, COVID-19, and you haven't sent a mass or any resources to the black people in Minnesota. But you were quick to send your troops to kill us? We already been saying it's open season all over the nation, and you just opened it up even more. You were crying, liberate Minnesota when it came to economics, property, and money.
Yeah. Come on, Leslie, talk.
When are you going to tell them to liberate black people in America?
That's right.
Anyone who believes in humanity, we are asking for you to stand up. This is not just a black people issue. This is a human rights issue, and we are pleading with you. Young people, we are standing with you. We want you to know that there's multiple ways to get your point across, and we are here to help you. You have a village that will help you strategize. I know that you are operating out of pain, and since no one else will talk to you, they just keep talking at you and keep referring to you, but I haven't seen one of them on the ground trying to de-escalate any situation. I've been getting tear gas with you, and I haven't thrown a rock yet. At some point, it's called defense.
That's right. That's right.
And so again, I will say, black Minnesota is done dying. In white Minnesota, you are done hiding. Your white Wakanda has been discovered, and it's time for black people, humanity to be recognized.
That's right. My God.
This is breaking news. Some friends and supporters, including Leslie Resman, the president of the NAACP in Minneapolis, speaking at a news conference right now. Heather?